Ask not what Bitcoin can do for you. Ask what you can do for Bitcoin. Why survival, treasury strategy, and creativity are driving Bitcoin adoption. Flint West reporting. They keep asking the wrong question. They ask whether Bitcoin will go up. They ask whether it's volatile. They ask whether it's risky. They ask whether the market has room for 200 companies doing the same thing. But that's not the question. The question is simpler and more uncomfortable. How do you survive in a system designed to erode you? Because that's the environment now. An inflationary, hostile, debasement-driven environment where standing still is indistinguishable from moving backward, where cash is not neutral, where prudence is punished, where time itself has been financialized against you. In that world, survival is not guaranteed. Survival is a strategy, and Bitcoin is not a bet on the future. It is a refusal to be silently liquidated in the present. This is why digital asset treasuries exist, not because they're clever, not because they're speculative, but because they have to. When a company buys Bitcoin, it doesn't need a grand narrative. It doesn't need yield engineering. It doesn't need financial alchemy. The reason is enough on its own. Fiat melts. Bitcoin doesn't. Extending your runway in a debasement environment is already a win. Preserving purchasing power while competitors bleed quietly is already an advantage. In an era where most balance sheets decay by default, choosing not to decay is a form of dominance. By that logic, Bitcoin adoption is not radical. It is conservative. It is defensive. It is rational. And that logic doesn't stop at companies. It applies to individuals watching savings accounts yield zero while prices climb. It applies to institutions trapped between regulation and reality. It applies to nation-states staring down debt dynamics that cannot be resolved honestly. A Bitcoin standard is no longer an ideological statement. It is an actuarial one. But survival is only the first layer, because Bitcoin does something unusual once you hold it long enough. It teaches you, not through promises, but through constraints, not through marketing, but through math. You learn what scarcity actually means. You learn what durability requires. You learn what happens when money stops lying. And once you learn those things, you don't just hold Bitcoin. You start building around it. This is where creativity enters. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. MicroStrategy didn't wake up one day as a Bitcoin Treasury company. It evolved into one. The more it understood Bitcoin, the more obvious it became that Bitcoin wasn't just an asset. It was a substrate, a base layer that could support new financial structures without relying on the fragility of banks, deposits, or regulatory loopholes. That evolution wasn't extractive. It didn't weaken the system. It strengthened it. This is the part people miss. Bitcoin is not zero-sum. Every honest structure built on top of it reinforces the network. Every participant who adapts to it makes it harder to corrupt. Every innovation that respects its constraints expands its legitimacy. Bitcoin rewards alignment. And this is why the slogan matters. Ask not what Bitcoin can do for you. Ask what you can do for Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin doesn't exist to serve your expectations. It exists to test your discipline. It doesn't promise yield. It makes yield possible, but only if you're willing to build honestly. It doesn't guarantee outcomes. It guarantees rules. And in a world where the rules keep changing, that is everything. This is also why narrative matters more than ever. People don't adopt systems they don't understand. They adopt stories that explain their lived experience. When Bitcoin is framed as a speculative token, it repels seriousness. When it's framed as a best-in-class savings account, a volatility firewall, a purchasing power anchor, it clicks. When people see that Bitcoin preserves what fiat erodes, the message spreads naturally. When they see that yield is being regulated out of existence everywhere, except where hard money lives, the comparison becomes unavoidable. This is not marketing. This is translation. Bitcoin doesn't need new features. It needs better explanations. And the deeper truth, the one that ties all of this together, is this. Bitcoin is no longer competing as an asset. It is becoming the place where financial honesty migrates when legacy systems can no longer sustain it. Savings move there, treasuries move there, yield moves there, creativity moves there. Not because Bitcoin is perfect, but because it is incorruptible. So no, this is not about what Bitcoin can do for you. That question belongs to a world of entitlements and expectations. This is about what you can do with Bitcoin when the old tools fail, what you can build, what you can preserve, what you can refuse to lose. Because in a debasement environment, survival is success, and in Bitcoin, survival compounds. Flint West signing off.